Let's see if we can go live. That'd be fantastic. And I think we're live. Cheers, guys. I think we are rocking and rolling. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream from the shop. Nothing crazy tonight. What I'd like to do is assemble a little bit more on the quadcopter. If I have my way, we'll see how it goes. Cool thing showed up at the shop. While I was away, I was on the road a little bit lately, and some of you who follow me on Instagram probably saw some of my pictures from the West Coast, but when I got back, if I don't throw it on the floor, I finally got myself a subscription to the Magpie magazine, the official Raspberry Pi magazine. Pretty excited about this. It's gonna be pretty neat, and a handy thing that comes with it is a Raspberry Pi Zero, full Wi-Fi one. So this is a little bit of a splurge for me. It's not the cheapest thing, but I'll do a video on this. That's why it's laid out on the bench. The quality of this is actually really cool. I'm really impressed, and I deliberately am saving some of the articles. I haven't gone through it yet, but if you're a maker, a hobbyist out there, long story short, I would highly advise you go ahead and grab it if you're interested in getting the Raspberry Pi magazine. But tasty tidbit, you can get this online for free, the content, which is kind of neat. They make the PDFs available to anyone, which is really cool of them. But let's start with a quad. Let's build some more on the quad build tonight. I don't have a lot of time, so I just wanted to catch up with you guys in chat. And we do have a new Discord server. I'm going to mention that many times. It is right linked in the description below, first line hopefully. It's our brand new chat server that will be live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pretty excited. It's been a long time since we had excuse me, since we had the IRC server up and going, which it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see. Let me know if the audio and the video is coming across okay. With any luck, we're doing all right. We should be pretty good. I think I worked through a lot of the audio problems that we had in the past. So what we've got. This is the Red October quad build you've seen in previous videos. In the previous live stream, we went ahead and soldered everything up, but it looks a little different now. What I did is I went ahead and I applied a conformal coating to all the electronic speed controls. I used this MG Chemicals acrylic conformal coating. It comes in an aerosol or a brush bottle. This aerosol is going to last me till doomsday. This is an awful lot of liquid. You could waterproof a lot of components, but what I did, I went ahead and sprayed them down. It's pretty neat. It turns blue so you can see where you've coated and where you haven't, and then it goes to this kind of ugly opaque color. Some worse than others. These solder joints you can see are really kind of dingy looking now, but that's the coating applied to them, and we should be basically completely weather sealed now. This should be essentially completely waterproof. Now what I had planned was to go ahead and heat shrink them tonight. Only problem is the sizes of heat shrink that we've got to work with. Well, let's see. I have a feeling that this one is too narrow for our speed control, and actually it might not be. It might fit. The other one, this is a monster that I got from DigiKey, and it is very wide. Now the shrink rate of this is supposed to be exceptional, so it should work, but if we can get this smaller stuff to work, I think we'll try that first. Let's see, anything in the chat? Chat not working tonight. Oh, that's all right. Oh, yeah. Either people are quiet or chat is not working. Abnormally quiet. Usually I have a lot of people chatting on this channel. It's been a couple weeks since I did a live stream, so maybe everybody's a little quiet. Let's see whether this is going to fit. We'll go ahead, just break that. This is just eBay special stuff. It is quite thin and really rubbery, so I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I guess we'll find out. I don't actually have a lot of faith in this stuff. Let's just do a little chunk just to see before we go through all the effort of threading everything and getting everything in place. I really have a feeling that this is not going to work, because that speed control is quite thick. The MOSFETs are quite, oh, it's just about there. It nearly gets there. I think with enough, if a person was persistent enough, they could make this, actually, they could definitely make this work. You know what? That is on there. Oh, that is tempting, because that's the perfect size. But it is really snug. Well, let's try one. If I would have cut that just a little bit longer, we would have been all right. So let's cut an appropriate length this time. And the more we handle this conformal coating, the more it's going to cause us trouble. So the less is more here. Let's not mess around with it too much. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. I like these impromptu live streams where I get to hang out with you guys. Benjamin's here. Cheers, Benjamin. Ah, the chat does work after all. What do you know about that? Glad to have you here, Benjamin. Mentioned before, the link to the new Discord chat is in the description below. I'm not monitoring it right now, but I will be after the show. And forevermore, we used to have an IRC channel. It was a lot of fun to hang out after the live shows. But I think we're going to be using Discord from here on out, just for convenience. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll already know about the Slack channel. We have a devoted Slack channel for Patreon supporters, which is pretty cool. That's where people get private access direct to me. I'm in there every day, and it's pretty cool. But I wanted a place for all of us to be able to hang out. And I think Discord is where it's at. Oh man, this is tight. This is tight. This is not going to do that conformal coating any good, me poking at it, but it does fit. We're getting there. Now if we can just get it over the motor terminals and get it on camera so you guys can see it, how handy would that be? Maybe I can do a little better with this here camera. That might be a little better for you. Try and keep my head out of the way of the overhead. I need to reposition the overhead here. Make it a little better. Man, that's tight. That is gonna work though. So I cut it way long. There we go. Sure enough. I can see flakes of conformal coating came off the bottom, but well, so it will be. That I think will do the trick. I think we'll try shrinking that down first and just sort of gauge how things go before we decide whether we want to use this big one or continue on with this small stuff. I'm actually totally surprised that that fit. Now, this is a little excessive, but I think once it shrinks down, we'll be all right. We've got quite a bit of room to work with to get to the flight control, but yeah, that's a little excessive. So right now, I know that's crazy excessive, so let's just mark the next one a little shorter in case we decide to use this small stuff again, and then we'll know. All right, let's see how it shrinks down. Rapid Nova's here. Cheers. Slack's quite nifty. Yeah, I agree. I like the Slack channel. The Slack channel is really awesome for the Patreon supporters. All right, so let's fire up. Let's use the WEP hot air rework station. And nothing to it. Has a hall sensor in here. Take it off. I forget what temp I've got it set to, so we'll let it warm up here. 100. Yeah, this thing lost its brains. It certainly was not set to 100. So we can go as high as 400. I think we can go to 450 or better. So this is our airflow adjustment. We'll take it to max, and then we'll go ahead and move some of this other stuff away. And let's just see how we do with this speed control. I'll go ahead and raise it a little bit vertical here. Ouch! It's already hot around the hands, and that stuff shrinks up real nice. This is eBay special stuff. This heat shrink was straight out of, well, probably Shenzhen. Just as you guys have seen in my eBay buying parts videos. Nothing to it. You go top rated sellers and sort by buy it now and find the size you want. And that, oh man, that is nice. That's actually working absurdly well. So we had to remove, if you're just joining, we had to remove the heat shrink before, because I went ahead and applied a conformal coating, a waterproof coating to these speed controls. This is my first attempted waterproof build, or well, water resistant build anyway. And I have to say, that is working just beautiful, but we'll see how it is when it cools down. If it passes kind of the sniff test, I'm gonna say we're gonna keep using this stuff. Tasty tidbit, put some aluminum tape behind your heat gun if you're using a wooden back there like me. It will light your workshop on fire. Alright, I think we're in good shape. You can actually smell the conformal coating now that we got it hot. Must have kind of re-liquefied it a little bit, but that is our speed control back the way, kind of the way it came from factory, only without the kind of branding that was stuck in there under the heat shrink. But man, I'm happy with that. I like that. I'm going to be really happy with that. I'm not going to worry about sealing the ends because we're not going to make this thing immersion proof. Just that we can see it when it gets dunked, we can tell when it'll be dry, because we'll be able to see any condensation in here and leave a path for it to come out. You just put it on a dehumidifier, and the conformal coating will hopefully protect the electronics. Damn, I think we're good to go. I'm gonna say we're gonna cut 3 more pieces, 2 more after this one, that same length. I'm not gonna change it. If anything, I cut this one a little shorter. I'm going to go back to being a little longer and save that piece. Kind of split the difference. Let's go ahead and use them this size. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Just a smidge shorter than the one we just used. This stuff is curling. It's really, it's quite good feeling stuff. It's very rubbery. So there, I think that'll do the trick. We'll save this one for a future date. Nope, not that one. Almost grabbed the wrong one. Actually, let's just do that. That's fine. I think I'm happy with that length. Who we got? Oh, we got the chat. Up to anything lately? Poor soldering iron bouncing around. Don't know about that. I'm trouble with 2205. They twitch when I throttle up. Lots of causes of that. Lots and lots of causes of that. Nice. Rapid Nova had the same issue. I have had no problems with RS2205 red bottom motors yet. Knock on wood. I have been immune to any issues with them. So far. My day will come. I do keep a spare set for when that day comes, but we'll see. Alright, let's go ahead and do another one. As with quad building, everything is wash, rinse, repeat. This thing is going to be a lot of fun though. I'm really excited for this quadcopter. I don't know. It's going to be fun to be able to run the Betaflight F3 flight controller. That alone is worth the price of admission on this quad. I like my new paint job. And what I'm going to like even more is being able to just rip out in the wintertime, not be concerned when I just want to go and rip. Snow or no snow, I'm going out the door and I'm just gonna go have some fun. If it gets dunked, so be it. It will be what it will be. But my waterproofing efforts should prevent most issues. If they don't, well, no big deal. I've dried out quads before. You guys will see a quad dry out video on the channel here before too long if I ever finish editing it, where my my other 210, same identical setup, where I dunked it into the pond, and just quick, easy cleanup, and I was back in the air with it. Just a clean up, fresh water, dried everything out as much as needed with just a dehumidifier in the basement. Just set it there and let it do its thing after I clean things up. And yeah, it worked perfectly, except for the reason it fell out of the sky in the first place, which was a camera failure. My board cam failed, which is why I crashed. It did not come back after being dried out, but the footage was pretty clear on my DVR of what went wrong to begin with, so I actually expected that as being the failure. This heat shrinks a little tighter, this one. Oh, there we go. Getting there. Hold one's tongue just right. And there we go. Heat shrink up on the speed control, just like so. Looks good. Better than factory. Good enough. Franco is here. Hi from Argentina. Cheers, Franco. Glad you could make it. Excuse me. One more and we'll shrink that one down. Then we're pretty much ready for a flight controller install, which is going to be new to me. I have never played with the Betaflight F3 flight controller. It's always been the Seriously Pro, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience. I looked up the Rotor Riot video on it today, which actually wasn't the best. Other people online had some, on YouTube, had some really good tutorials and coverage on it. I'm not sure whether it was UAV Futures had one of them, but there was a couple of good ones anyway, and I got the idea. It's pretty straightforward. It's just everything on one board. So the only drawback is technically it would be a lot easier to solder the ESC wires to the board and then solder them to the ESCs. Because the board being double-sided, you have to flip it over. I'm going to just find a way to deal with it, because I am not going to desolder these connections and go through that when I've already gone ahead and applied the conformal coating. So we're gonna make it work. We'll make it work somehow. We always do here on this channel. You guys are creative. We'll find a way. John's here. Cheers, John. What is the electronic modules company that you get stuff from? Can't remember the name. eBay? Adafruit sometimes, not so often anymore, but most of the stuff is eBay, or my own store, Amazon store, or yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. I've got some things from IC Station, but I don't overly recommend them these days lately. Yeah, lots of places, but check out my videos how to buy things on eBay. There's 2 of them, how I get the deals I get on all my electronics. And cool. And then this quad, if you're talking about stuff like this is a GearBest quad. All right, there. We've got some heat shrink. We have a slowly warming up hot air rework station. If you don't have one of these hot air rework stations, I love this WEP unit. They're repackaged under several different names, but just having the hot air gun as well as the soldering iron, these are the same. These are take the Hako tips. I just love it. And then up above I have my trusty Unger. But I love this rework station for exactly these purposes. When you're dealing with heat shrink, there's nothing better. It's just it's just painless. Forget using a lighter and pissing around with that. Get yourself a hot air rework station. Even if you just buy the standalone station, you can buy them for about 30 bucks. It just saves so much headache. And if you're doing a lot of electronics, well, you're probably doing your fair bit of heat shrink work anyway, and it just makes life so much easier. It's so much more professional job too, i.e. these speed controls. You're gonna be really hard pressed to do this with a lighter. Well, you're not going to. You're gonna get burnt spots, and heat shrink gets brittle if you overheat it. Well, not to mention it lights on fire, and this just simply works so much better. I'll see if I can get a little closer camera angle for the next one. But well, we're just gonna let this finish up, let that cure or cool off a little bit. We're good. Catch up on the chat. Skate is here from North Dakota. Cheers. Don't forget Adafruit.com. No, absolutely not, Armando. Absolutely love Adafruit. I don't buy that much from them direct anymore just because it's very expensive to get it into Canada. But I do buy from them whenever I can because of what they do for the community. There's no question, they're amazing. Without the Adafruit libraries for the Arduino stuff we play with, it just wouldn't be the same. Electronics Workshop, hello from Ontario. Well, hello from Ontario here as well. Coming to you live from southwestern Ontario. Cool. All right, let's try another one. Let's see, maybe we can get you guys a little closer to the action here, perhaps. Maybe not. I'm gonna make you seasick here in a minute. This POS tripod. I'm using an ancient old tripod to hold this webcam. It is a yard sale special. It is a real special machine, but it works for holding a webcam and, well, nothing else. And now we gotta wait for my hot air rework to come back to temperature as I set it back on the cradle, and I think we're good. I'm getting tangled in cords. Alright, good to go. Let's see how we can finesse this in front of the camera. Sweet, that'll do. Oh, I forgot to set the white balance on this camera before I went live. Oh well, next broadcast. It was on my list to make sure I set a manual white balance. We're still working out the kinks of this this streaming PC. It's not the best, but we'll get there. First major problem was the audio. I think we've got that marginally licked. I think the audio should be pretty good tonight. And go ahead and get under there. This end's just refusing to shrink down. It's a very large chunk of tubing. Again, this would be a real hassle if you were trying to do this with a flame source or something. When you're hitting it with 400 degrees with the rework station, it makes it quite a bit easier. That looks pro. I like this. I am super happy with this. This is going to be a build that I'm going to be quite proud of. Slow and steady wins the race on these. And now we added our gloss back onto our solder joints. That's kind of neat. That the conformal coating made all dull and made me quite ashamed of them because they looked like an amateur had soldered them. Now they're all back to shiny again because of the, I guess, the optical density of the heat shrink itself makes them appear shiny, even though I know they're not underneath there. That's kind of funny. Anyway, that's silliness. It's good to be a little bit proud of your builds, right? You want things to look good. People are going to see it, particularly if you're a YouTuber, but when you're out at the track, you don't want people looking at it and going, what kind of monkey built that? A little bit of extra time, a little bit of pride goes a long way. Catch up on the chat real quick. Magnifying arm on your workbench, same as the one in your store. Yes, it is identical. This one you should find on the main page of the MakeMe.org store. If it's not, let me know, but this should be the same one. 2 AA batteries for the LED light. which works fantastically well. Just a standard unit from overseas. They're pretty much all the same, but it should be right on the, I'm pretty sure I featured it on the featured items. If not, just go to my Amazon link down below in the description if you want, and just search magnifying third hand, and you will find this one if it doesn't look the same, but it should be the same. It really should. Alright, one more. Let's go ahead and shrink this baby. Let's go ahead and make it pretty. Something satisfying about watching heat shrink do its thing. I don't know. Especially clear. It's awesome stuff. Making a component all nice and happy and watertight. Or, well, relatively. It's not going to be watertight in this case, but it's going to be relatively protected. The main reason of putting this on here, well, the reason for using clear is looks. You could just as easily use electrical tape because we already have the conformal coating on there, and it isn't waterproofing it. If this is submerged, it's going to leak in through the ends. We're not sealing them. It's just a one layer of protection for abrasion, and a prop strike, if it's a light, not a big impact, will glance off of this stuff or will slow it down just a little bit. A little bit of protection, and without the ugly look of that black electrical tape that everybody uses, just to test the look of that. I'd so much rather see the MOSFETs. Like, come on, that's prettier. If it was in focus, that's so much more pro looking. And then what I'll use is just some good double-sided tape to stick them down. And maybe what I usually do is a super small zip tie as well over top of them down onto the double-sided tape, and that'll keep them from coming up and getting into the props. I love Hobby King, super dependable and understand because they actually use the products. Oof. Well, it's the first time I've heard of somebody calling Hobby King dependable. Yeah, that's a first. I have bought many things from Hobby King over the years, and the last thing I would call them is dependable. I love what they do, and I love what they do for the hobby. Fantastic bunch of people too. Dependable, not in my experience at all, ever. But that's the thing, right? Like, it's the same everywhere. You're gonna run into troubles. No matter who it is, nobody's perfect. Some definitely worse than others. I had a bad run with Gear Best for a while there, and they seem to have come around. I haven't had any trouble with Banggood, oddly enough. And then eBay top-rated sellers, like you guys have seen in my videos, this many problems. Zero. The only thing, like, I've had failure to deliver items, and I call it zero problems because those guys make it right. They will ship you 2 of anything to make sure that you leave them positive feedback, or just don't leave them negative feedback. They're top-rated sellers only while they maintain that status, and any negative feedback, they lose that. They will bend over backwards for you, and had no problems. Amazing. Since I discovered that method, searching eBay for buy it now, top-rated sellers only, I never have any problems. They're a pleasure to deal with. Quite often you'll get an email right away, and actually 90% of the time you'll get an email right away when you do a buy it now saying, we're shipping this, keep in mind shipping to North America takes a while. Any issues, please let us know. Don't leave negative feedback. And they're doing that in their own best interest, but at the same time, I've been down that road where they do make it right every time. And quite often the component will show up later, and I've been honest with a couple. I'm like, look, this part showed up later. I'm not shipping it back to you, but I will gladly, you can take it off my account if you want. We'll do the process the return, and that well, every time it's been, no, don't worry about it, Eric. So, yeah, craziness. Crazy. Where do you get your heat shrink? So this one, this bag was eBay. Buy it now, top rated seller. Searching for the size I needed. This monstrosity, which is about 4 feet long, I think they were 4-foot chunks, came from DigiKey. And I was under the impression that this was going to be the only stuff that was going to work here. I thought this slow boat stuff from China was going to be the wrong size. And I went ahead and ordered this. It was like $24, shipped overnight FedEx from DigiKey, because, well, that's what they do. And they shipped it in a massive 4-foot long box for some heat shrink. But it was under 30 bucks, and it was, yeah, it was everything. It was everything in DigiKey is, they literally have everything if you're willing to pay for it. But that, in that case, it was like, wow, 30 bucks for some heat shrink is a little ridiculous, but I had it next day, even here in Canuckland. All right. Next part that has to go on. I don't know whether we're going to keep going tonight. I have a bit of a time crunch tonight, guys. Maybe catch up on the chat real quick, and then I'm going to call it a night, actually. I can't stick around. I'm sorry, guys. Just recently bought some resistors from eBay, top-rated seller, and they sent me the wrong ones. Got to wait for them to respond and get them resolved. If it's a top-rated seller, they'll respond quickly. Been doing this a long time, and I'd be shocked if they did not respond within 24 hours. I would be shocked, because they would lose their status post-haste with other people. So this is the Betaflight F3 flight controller, the actual Betaflight branded one. So we have it's a power distribution board and flight controller all in one, as well as an OSD for our on-screen display. So this is what we're going to use in this quad. Now, the tricky part's going to be, like I mentioned earlier, we've got to solder these wires to the bottom. One side will be no problem. It's going to be the other side of the quad which you can't see off camera. We can solder one side and then flip it over. We're going to have to solder to the bottom side. And I like keeping my wires neat. It's not such a big deal on this quad because we have tons of room to work with. What I'll probably do is do that off camera. Take my time, figure out where everything's going to be, because I have no idea the motor layout on this. I have a pretty good idea of where things are going to be on this side. I believe this bottom one down here is our serial for our receiver, and up here I believe is the video transmitter and camera. But beyond that, well, the big pads are self-explanatory. That's power in, and then motor pads on these small ones. But I kind of got to figure things out. These are going to be our signal pads for our motors, and then backside is going to be the ESC actual current connections. Yeah, and that's the SD card holder. But yeah, this is new to me. Should be no problem. I'll figure it out a little bit off camera, and then we'll maybe solder it up on camera and do it live, because, well, what the heck, right? It's fun to do things live and watch me fail. Huge box for 2 rolls of 20-foot wire. Yeah, for sure. It's not even a problem, though. Like, they get such a preferential rate on shipping. DigiKey has the most ridiculous rates with FedEx. It doesn't cost them anything. They basically half own FedEx. Could you take a drone where you want to go, where you go camping, or would that be too much to pack? Might be get some good footage. Yeah, John, I've already been north. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have already seen I've already been up north, and I didn't take the quads with me. I chose to unplug and not do quadcopters. I was going to take, actually, so I think I can say this on the channel. There's a new Wakera folding drone, which is basically a clone of the DJI Mavic. Wakera contacted me several months ago and asked me if I'd review it. And the timing was perfect that I'd be able to take it up north with me. Their launch date was June, and they contacted me shortly before June, indicating they hadn't made their launch date. They're still working through some issues, because it is a very neat commercial product. It's a DJI Mavic without any restrictions, and the same 4K camera. Anyway, I couldn't take it up with me, so I chose not to take the Phantom, and I certainly didn't take any race quads with me. I was tempted to take my tiny Whoop with me, but I didn't. Yeah, so I'm done with north trips. I just got back from the West Coast. 48 hours ago. I was on the west coast of the US for a week. I didn't post while I was there. You would have saw some posts when I got back. So I usually don't. My social media lags by a couple of days. So anyway, long story short, no drones to the north camping. Yeah, it's going to be fun. When I do get to take one, I have a beta that's defective. It gets super hot, then stops. I think it was damaged. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be quite neat, I think. We'll see. But, yeah, tough to say. All right, guys. I don't think we're going to solder up this flight controller tonight. You guys can check. I'm going to join the Discord chat right after this, so if you want to become a member of the Make Me Community Discord, it's right top line, linked in the description below. I'm going to join up that after the broadcast as soon as I'm done tidying up here, and we can chat live there anytime. But I think that's as far as I'm going to go right now, because I really don't want to tackle this until I get my brain around where these wires are going to run and get this spaghetti soup sorted out. Because I really want this quad to be... I don't know, it's not going to be a show quad or anything, but it's going to be kind of neat. This is going to be a pretty cool looking beast, so I'd rather take my time and make sure it's right, and doing so live is very boring to watch when you watch a guy reroute the same wire 8 times, and that's what it takes to get it to look like my other 210. So, yeah. Alright guys, have a great night. Good hanging out with you. Take care guys. Cheers.